Betty forgot to add everybody in.
I'm getting used to it. All right, I'm getting used to it. Good evening and welcome to episode 3 of Nerd Juice. This is my time hosting it this week, and this week is the Valentine's special. Everybody in love, put your hands up. There's a couple of hands, that's good to see. How are we all this week?
Horny.
Pretty decent.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Happy to be here, I think.
Brilliant. It's good to hear. I think. Come on, Nathan. Nathan. So, episode 3, we have got a pretty jam-packed show this week. We've got 2 brand new segments. We've got to talk about the latest Bad Batch as well, and Hogwarts Legacy, maybe Hippogriff Mount again. But it's good to see everyone's here. We haven't got any Max this week, but the Fabulous 5, the Fantastic 5.
He's there though. He's in the comments.
He's there, but he's not here, is he? But
traitor.
Valentine's special, everyone. Let's start with the first question. Rom-coms, romantic comedies. Do we love them or do we love them?
Boring.
I said this last week. It depends who's in it and what the vibe is, because you can get like a decent Tom Hardy, Chris Pine, Ryan Reynolds one going, and it can still be relatively funny. Like, yeah, you're going to have your cheesy moments in there, but that's the stuff you put up with.
Definitely. For me, I think a rom-com is, if you go into a film, no, it's a rom-com. The guy gets the girl or the girl gets the girl or whatever the relationship is, you should know that's going to happen. It's everything in between that makes it a good story, rather than it just being they get to kiss at the end and have had a really good time. It's got to be what is the cheese? Where is the cheese?
Yeah.
Not like that, Liam. Not like that.
I'll go away for 1 week.
No, but that's...
So I think my generation, because I'm older than you bastards, but my generation we grew up with a different type of rom-com, I would say, in that we had like more of a traditional rom-com, your Love Actuallys, your how do you do this and there. Whereas I would say now, like those sort of rom-coms don't really exist anymore, and they've kind of blurred the lines into more like situational stuff. Like, Deadpool is a rom-com from a certain point of view. He sees it, James. I can see you thinking about it, but he says it.
Look at the narrator. Like, he's only going to say, "Oh yeah, it's a rom-com," but it's like, but here's a whole bunch of no romance in there whatsoever, other than the fact that he's reunited with his like lass that was kidnapped. But it's very little rom-com.
He lets the love of his life peg him on International Women's Day. Like, what is more romantic than that?
Oh yeah.
Trust that to be the thing you pick up on.
Don't say that. Don't give anyone any ideas.
Oh god.
Anyone or someone specific, Harvey?
I don't know. I'm just thinking in men in general,
Harvey, I'm sorry. Are you just putting your hat into the ring, like on the sly sort of thing? Is this what you're wanting to happen?
No.
Oh no! Don't do that. God, that sounds horrible.
Please, no. I think the thing is with me with rom-coms is like, if it's got an actor I know in it, I'll watch it just to see him. So like 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger, I watched purely because my only knowledge of Heath Ledger was the Joker, and seeing the Joker just be like a cool Australian geezer. Like,
so that makes me feel old, because that was like one of the first things I saw him in, which is why I was on the train of I don't believe him to be able to be a good Joker. But
no, well, I don't think I was born when the film came out, or I was born the year it came out. So just to make you all feel old. Well, there is Harvey as well. To be fair, he's younger than me. Just dig someone else in the grave instead of me. But yeah. What about you, Harvey? What's your sort of take on rom-coms? The youngest here.
I mean, when I was a horny teenager, I watched a bunch of the raunchy ones, but that's about it, really. I can't think of a single...
Like Emmanuel on Channel 5.
I can't think of a single one I'd watch as an adult.
Does 50 Shades count as a rom-com?
Yes.
I wouldn't say so.
It's not very funny.
I've never seen it, but I've heard that it's not funny in the slightest. All I've heard is that it's just god-awful.
I know he
Best
sings
of
Paul
five.
McCartney, one of them, but again, not seen him.
One, he is mine. The one that I think has stood the test of time and flies under the radar is Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz.
I've seen that when I was like 15, 14, something like that.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, stop your story there, Harvey. You need to tell us more. But it's what's his name again? I always forget his name. Who plays like the one she gets with at the end? He's the gym
Jason
teacher.
Jason
Segel.
Segel.
Yes. Like he's got, like Forgetting Sarah Marshall is another good one.
Mm.
You've got like what's the one Jim Carrey did? Is it something about Mary? Is that a rom-com?
Something
Jim
about
Carrey.
Mary. That's not Jim Carrey. No, that's God. Lee Evans was in that one.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller.
And
Matt
Oh
Dillon.
yeah,
There was actually quite a few in there, but that I think that was more on the heavy. Because
I'm thinking Dumb and Dumber.
Rom-coms. There's a. I wouldn't say there's a balance. I'd say it's either got one more than the other sometimes, and Something About Mary to me just felt more comedy than anything else.
the only reason I remember that film is I remember watching it when I was like 12, and Cameron Diaz had come on her ear before it was meant to be hair gel.
Brilliant.
That's all I remember. Quite a vivid memory, but
I mean, it's an iconic scene. To be fair, we'll let that one slide, Betty.
Jordan says anything Jason Segel is great.
Segel. That's
Not
all.
Segel.
No, that's someone else.
No, it's
I watched,
He has never done a Steven Seagal has never done a rom-com.
I'd watch it.
There's a bunch of them have Emma Stone in. Easy A,
Super bad.
Crazy Stupid Love, Super Bad.
Is that the one, Crazy Stupid Love? Is that the one with Ryan Gosling?
Yeah,
I rate that movie so much. It's that
I watched it a couple of times. Steve
what was
Carell
that?
as well.
Yeah, there's that one chaotic scene in it, and it's like just where I don't know. Ryan Gosling shows up with Emma Stone as the girlfriend, but it turns out it's Stephen Carell's daughter. So they argue, and then Stephen Carell's wife, who cheated on Kevin Bacon's character, he then shows up. So they then get in a fight. It's this massive chaotic scene. It's like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Wedding
Do we
Crashers,
count?
another good-
Wedding Crashers is a good one. 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Is that a rom-com?
Never seen it. Never seen it.
Yeah, I saw. There's romance involved in it.
That's the thing,
I
though.
guess.
Where do you draw the line between comedy and then romantic comedy? Because, like, I agree. There is definitely romance in there, but there's so little of it. It's just heavily focused on comedy.
I think that's mainly because I've seen more of those style films than I have actual rom-com films. Shameless to say, I'm talking about rom-coms. I haven't seen Love Actually. I haven't seen.
Neither have
I know.
How?
I've not seen The Notebook either.
I've never seen The Notebook.
Even
I don't
I've
think
seen.
that's a comedy, is it?
I know it's a love story. That's all I know.
There's a couple of funny bits in it, but that's it.
Love Actually wins, though.
Yeah, I think the closest thing I've seen to a rom-com is Love Actually. But I know nothing about them, so I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I've seen some things where people have, where they just tend to look at old movie. Well, I say oldish movies, and then they compare them to modern society. So, like, they'll go back to Love Actually now and go, "Oh, that was like creepy as fuck. Why would they do that?" Like the whole scene where he's showing up with the cards and then doing all that thing. They thought, okay, so that's nice and romantic, but there's another scene where he just kind of like he figures out that Keira Knightley figures out that he's basically been like taking pictures of her and stuff, and they're all like saying, right, so that's creepy. Like it's a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it was creepy back then, to be honest, James. It was a bit like, but yeah.
The rom-coms actually like work as well. So if you were going to take your other half on a date, would a rom-com work, or like? Because I always feel like if I'm going on a film date with someone, I see a film I actually want to enjoy. So like, I'd rather go see a Marvel film, or like I don't know, Star Wars or Disney or whatever, rather than like something that's a bit forced or.
Depends how much you like her, Betty. I suppose.
That's true. It's
Depends
true.
who.
Yeah,
Depends on who she is. She might like Star Wars.
it's true. Yeah.
She might like a rom com. It's a very subjective question. But yeah,
I couldn't tell you the last time. I don't even know what a date is anymore. Because when if they say, "Oh, let's go to the cinema," it's like, okay, so yeah, we'll go to a dark room and not speak to each other for 2 hours. Sure, yeah, that sounds
that
great.
sounds like my good idea. My plan of a good idea. Throw a bit of leather in there, James, and you've got a good time.
Brilliant.
Hey,
And that's what we see.
This is where Nathan comes in.
Nathan's segment on like what's
that's
cheap. or,
Liam's
like, when shopping.
speciality.
Beth's here,
So-
everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Beth.
I was watching an old one, thinking. I
think she was watching an old live stream, so I think she may have been watching last week's, and now she's here.
Silly Billy.
Now you know.
But yeah, so my little tip, lads. This is where it comes from an
What are you saying about your little tip? Sorry.
For a date, go horror.
Why? So you can be the protector.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But what if you're scared?
I was gonna say,
I'm with
I
Nathan.
was gonna say I tried that once and I needed protecting. So no,
Then
what
you'd
else
be
you
like,
got?
Then all I
That's
see
why
is
you
don't-
watch it before the date.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself.
Harvey's done this before.
No,
No,
I'm a
he's-
horror guru. I'm
You
fine.
just no, I'm pretty sure you got that from The Big Bang Theory because I think I remember that episode where Raj had to like watch the episode beforehand for his date.
No,
Yeah,
I remember that one, yeah.
Harvey will be the other episode where Sheldon goes to watch Halloween, having never seen it, and then gets Amy to walk in just as it's starting and be like, "What are you doing?" And he drags him out. Like, "Oh God, you saved me, thank you." That'll be Harvey.
I've watched more horror films than you've had hot dinners.
Evening, Henry.
Dave, do you know how many hot dinners I've had?
Hello, hello.
So,
No, I'm not-
well,
I'm not a horror fan.
if you're here and you're listening, tell us a rom-com and we'll give it a rom-com.
Henry will be good for this because he's a romantic at heart.
Yeah.
And he will no doubt come out with a musical. But yeah, Henry, we're
This
talking.
could be like Moulin Rouge or La La Land or something.
Never seen Moulin Rouge in any way, shape, or form. I've never
It's
seen
good.
Les
It's a
Miserables.
good film.
That is a good one. Yeah.
It's not a rom-com though, is it? There's nothing comedy about Moulin Rouge. Actually,
No.
the one thing I have seen about Moulin Rouge is the music video. That was very popular when I was like 15. Please
Max-
tell me you know what music video I'm talking about, and none of you're all not clueless.
Which music video?
Is the Lady Marmalade one with like Christina Aguilera, Maya, Pink, and
Oh, I know
What?
which one you mean. Yeah.
Can we get Amy in with a fact or cap on that one, please?
Lost my virginity to the hills of ice.
We need Amy in to confirm or deny. Wait, no, because I mean, she. Wait, no, never mind. She
Stop
won't know,
talking.
probably. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop talking.
Seven
just
Brides
digging a
for Seven
hole.
Brothers.
I've never heard of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I've never heard of it.
That's an old one, but I like it.
It's an old musical, but it's romantic and comical. Well, it hits the mark of a rom-com then for me. It's romantic and comical. But is it more romantic or is it more comical? I think that's the debate we're having.
You have to go back to the classics though. Like I think they drifted away too much, but Love Actually was probably peak. But then Notting Hill and Four Weddings and a Funeral are both quality films.
I've seen that one.
They were the birth and the inception of the rom-com, and then I think it peaked at Love Actually.
When
What
did
I
Love
watched
Actually come
recently-
out?
Go on.
20 years ago.
No.
Maybe a bit longer because didn't they do the 20-year or was it they did the reunion for Comic Relief, didn't they? I'm gonna have to check this out.
No.
Just in the days of a
yeah.
young Hugh Grant, just like storm the whole romantic
Oh.
comedy. If you saw him on like the face of a poster, you knew exactly what genre it was. You didn't have to see a trailer; you just knew what. it was.
2003, 20 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Yowzers.
yeah, that pains me. prequels or rom-coms, there's nothing funny about the prequels though. Like
Jar Jar's hilarious. I agree with Max.
No,
The
he's not.
dialogue.
He's not. Yeah, the animation, the script. Never mind.
Sand.
Boss.
This is a
Nass,
nice little
Jamie.
segue into. So, did anyone stay up to watch Super Bowl last night?
Only Max, but he's not here, so let's not talk.
Only
about
Max.
the football.
Brilliant. But have we all caught up on all the trailers that anyone's seen? What's
I watched a
everyone's
few.
favourite?
So,
Dungeons and Dragons, I think, is such a clever film idea because they can go anywhere with it anytime they do it, pretty much.
It does look pretty good. I was watching the trailer and I thought, what film is this going to be? And I saw Dungeons and Dragons. I'd seen nothing about it before, and I don't care for Dungeons and Dragons at all. But now I want to go and see this film as soon as it comes out.
Agreed.
Well, if we remember at MCM, our good friend of the show, Henry Calvert, was working the D&D stand, wasn't he? So I'm sure he's probably on a low-key promotional tour of it right now. So, hence the thing.
The question.
I don't know anything about it. Obviously, I know it's a film and I know what it is, but it's the one trailer I haven't seen actually.
It's got Hugh Grant in it.
That's it.
Yeah. I
Nice.
think Henry says so. I like the look of it, and I think because, like with Dungeons and Dragons, it's all about the story that the dungeon master creates. Like you could literally go anywhere with it. You could have more witches, you could have more dragons, you could have like more dungeons. I'm just saying words that are in the title. But
So is this a bit like? Is it going to be done in the way that like they're telling a story and then the story is like the film is the story that's being told, and then as you see, the next film could be a totally different story because it's how they do it.
essentially, yeah.
It's actually the cast of Stranger Things. They're telling the story, and
Nice.
yeah,
Is Hugh Grant the dungeon master after
I don't
Nathan?
think so.
That took me a second there.
The pro
Don't know what you're talking about.
workout's worn out.
Hugh Grant is a rogue. I'm guessing that's some kind of wizard. The baddie.
The baddie.
Hugh Grant is a baddie. I'll give him that.
all those phrases are lost on me in Dungeons and Dragons. I never got into it. I don't understand. I know what mage is. I think that's like what your wizard. I think of the group, but that's all I know. Know nothing of it.
Again, Big Bang Theory probably give me as much. I'd love to play it. Like it would be cool to like get together. I'd love to have a go, but you probably need somebody who can and Henry might be the guy to lead you through because I wouldn't have a clue.
Lost on me.
But yeah, not the pick of my trailers.
What was yours then, Liam? What was your favourite trailer you saw?
As good as Guardians was. Now this is going to pain us to say this, but I've been down since day one. It was Fast X.
How do I leave this podcast now?
Me and Harvey's
I
going
don't
to
get it.
together. We're going to hire a Skyline.
They need
for
to
the game.
stop making
Oh,
these
yes,
fucking
please.
movies.
I don't get
No.
it. I
They need
don't
to
get
stop
it.
making them.
I don't know how they can drag it out for so long.
How did they get Jason Momoa to do it? Like usually it's a franchise that's good for like bringing in actors who are transitioning or on the wheel, like The Rock, John Cena. Like it's good at bringing those sort of actors in. But like Jason Momoa is like well established.
I
How do
don't
they
like. I don't see him as like a convincing villain at all. Like, but it doesn't matter anyway because in this movie he's going to be the villain, and the next one he's going to be in the fucking garden having a barbecue. So,
Yeah.
like, I
Family.
know where this is going. So, I just didn't believe Jason Momoa as a decent villain. Like, he was a great Aquaman. He's a great anti-hero, but as like an all-out villain that just wants to watch the world burn for his own, whatever agenda he has. I just never saw him as that kind of a role. It might change my mind if I ever do see it, but
Well, I mean, he
Which
plays a
Fast
bit of
and
a
Furious?
beast in Game of Thrones.
Which Fast and Furious is it where John Cena's in space?
That was the last one.
I never
Right.
saw
The
that
9.
one.
I mean, the fact I have to ask that question to say that, yeah, would you know, we've probably done a lot of Fast and Furious.
Whoa, John Cena did not go to space in that one.
Right.
Though.
Sorry.
It was Tyrese and
Sean from Tokyo Drift.
no, it was is it Tyrese? No.
It's Ludacris.
Ludacris,
and the other one.
Tej and Sean.
Fuck's sake, I've never even seen this movie, and here I am correcting you. Liam and Harvey are going to be like changing their entire TikTok pages, just be like Fast and Furious lore.
Danza Kuduro.
That when I was in Dominican Republic, that song was played 3 times a day. And I was like, yeah, I was all.
I'd love it. I'd be loving it.
The only one I enjoyed watching was Tokyo Drift. But,
I wonder if you know how they live in Tokyo.
The rest of them, they're the only thing for me.
Back when Tokyo Drift first came out, there was a set formula to certain movies, whether it was comedy, action, thriller, whatever, that if they had already done 2 or 3 movies, and then if they add another one on, it doesn't feel like it's part of that universe. It feels like some off-brand. So Fast and Furious 1 and 2, you knew that was very in the universe. It had its own stories, but you had existing characters. But then Tokyo Drift, even though Vin Diesel shows up at the very end, throughout the whole thing, it just felt like it was just some off-brand. It didn't feel like it was part of that universe. It was a different country. There was no relating characters. There was nothing about Lucas Black's character that was saying, "Oh yeah, I was." My fucking, Vin Diesel's my uncle or some shit. There was nothing there that related it. So I was there going, so that was like the one that I didn't really like.
They fixed it though. So if you watch it now, then it's like heavily connected. But at the time it was like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, by like sticking. Yeah, I was gonna say at the time it was like, what is this? But yeah, like I've seen 4 and 5, I think, and I think that's as far as I've went with it. But I did hear like they've edited Jason Statham into that scene now where he was responsible for Han's death, and then apparently Han doesn't fucking die. So I'm going, what is this soap opera? It's not. No, it's bad, and they need to stop making these movies.
Agreed.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Do you think it'll turn into like a James Bond where they just have the name? I think it would make sense more than just like having Vin Diesel on it until he's 90.
I can imagine that though. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be like some new generation of Fast and Furious fuckers, and then like Vin Diesel in his elder years of 85 comes back out of retirement of acting just to be the cameo, going, "Oh, here's like what I would do in this situation," and then he's back in the car, and I can see it 20 years from now, and it's going to be awful.
You've laid the groundwork, because in this one, in the trailer, what I noticed is Dom's son has grown up. Like, he's not grown up, but he's about 10 now, I would say, maybe like between 8 and 10 years old.
He's already got his car, though.
Not yet.
So first car better be a Charger, Jack.
That's what they're working towards. And then they're going to get to a point where he goes off, gets his own little crew, and then like he's going to be like, "Oh, my friends," and then Dom's going to walk in and be like, "They're not even friends. They're family."
It's like Marvel Phase 4. They're bringing in the young Fast and Furious.
I'm not for it. I'm not.
Harvey, as the fellow Fast and Furious enthusiast, which is your favorite out of the 9?
My favorite when I was a kid was Too Fast, Too Furious. I'd just watch it on repeat with the opening scene because bright colors. It's like, "You want to race tonight?" Oh, but it's so sick though when he like pulls up in the skyline and he gets out and they're like, "Oh shit, it's Brian."
Yeah,
and it's like he's so cool, so cool. But and then they had like a Too Fast, Too Furious arcade machine in my arcade down the beach. So that was my favorite as a kid. But now I'm not sure. Definitely one of the first 3. But 5 is pretty good as well. But it's less focused on street racing and more crime.
5, Brazil. Right.
It's the one where they like have the safe.
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah.
It's the first one with the rock in, isn't it? Where it goes down to Brazil to get them. Yeah. I would say 1 for me. Just
I'd
because of the
agree with
street
that.
racing.
If one's the best, then we don't need another 9, surely.
That doesn't mean the others are not good.
It just progressively gets more and
Worse.
more far-fetched and yes, worse, because
Mhm.
the first one is so grounded and it's just so like I know the theme is family throughout the whole fucking thing, but the first one it really did build on that concept of where Dom was like, you know, he would like beat the shit out of someone to the point of where he'd almost kill them for people who he would consider family. When towards the end, what was it, the final race, and he ends up getting like taken out by a truck. Like you thought it was going to be the train,
Yeah.
but it turned out to be the truck. Like Dom came out of that like looking fucked. His arm was like shattered to shit and everything, so he looked like he was in real big trouble. But now it's like, oh, I'm just going to get hit by a fucking moon, and you know, I'm just going to get a nosebleed over it and I'm going to walk away. It's like, fuck off. And that's what I mean. It just progressively gets more and more Superman bulletproof. Like, didn't they do that actually? Didn't like they have like a villain that was like superhuman
It
or
was
something?
Idris Elba in Hobbs and
Oh
Shaw.
yeah, that's the worst one. I think that's
And
the
Black
worst out of them all.
Superman.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
worst one, was it? Oh, right.
Yeah, that was because
That
he
one
is
and
like the
F9.
bionicle man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I mean, I can get driving off a cliff and catching onto a bridge and whatever, you know, that's fine. But when you're bringing in superhumans, that's when I start to have an issue, you know.
I'm waiting for the aliens. I'm waiting for them.
That's the next thing. Definitely Independence Day. That's what it'll be.
Aliens or
Fast and Furious
the
11.
twist is
Independence Day.
the aliens are humans from the future that have to drive at 200 miles an hour in a Dodge Challenger to get back to the past. There you go.
Don Cheadle's
Fast and
actually-
You build a
Furious.
time machine out of a Dodge Charger?
It's fueled by my love for family.
If Hollywood is watching, they've got the next best thing.
There you go. Have you seen the TikTok? The guy's done a couple, and the one where he's like how the Fast and Furious films are made, and it starts with him like basically lifting his head up after snorting a line of white powder.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's like, right, what have we got? And then he just reels off like loads of things. But he's the guy who did the like every Guy Ritchie film, and he sat in different positions in the car, and they edit it with the swipes, and he does like a full-on lock, stock, or snatch thing. Brilliant, all brilliant. But yeah, he nailed that.
I think we need more of those kind of movies, like Lock, Stock, and Snatch.
Mhm.
Like it
The
feels like it's
Gentleman was
been-
good.
I love The Gentleman. I thought I've never laughed so hard in my life at certain things that
Yeah.
I'm not going to say on this podcast, but there's certain things that you see, like you hear in like the boxing training was just golden. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rate
More
that
movies
film.
like that.
Is that
Any
the one with
other-
Charlie Hunnam?
Yes.
Yes,
I've not seen. I want to watch that. I've not seen it yet though.
it's on.
He's,
It's on Netflix, isn't it? I know it's on
I
one of
think
them.
so. I think so. It's definitely on one of them. It's all over TikTok as well. They always show the scene
Yeah.
where
In the
he's trying to
kebab
buy the
shop.
phone. That one, yeah.
Is that one?
with-
I always see that one.
There's that and the mobile phone getting stolen.
Yeah.
There's like,
Yeah.
stop fucking around, cunt. That one.
I'm like, oh,
Or when
Jack,
he,
what are
when
you
he goes
doing?
under the bridge as well.
I'm gonna get told off.
He's not
No
even there.
juice
You know.
cancelled.
He's not really there. Yeah. No, it is good. It's all right when you're quoting someone. See that. Any others though? Because there were quite a few trailers dropped.
There was
Guardians.
the Scream trailer on, as we was on horror earlier. Scream 6.
I didn't see that one.
You're the Scream fan as well. What did you make of it?
I thought it looks pretty good. But they've released TV spots for it during the Super Bowl, and then they had like a full-on trailer as well. And if you compare the scenes from the TV spots and the trailers, some of them are completely different, but like the same scenes. Like some scenes will have a character in it, and then in a different trailer it'll have Ghostface in it. So they've like CGI'd all the trailers to throw you off. So you
Right.
can't really trust much of it. But either way, it looks really good. So I'm hyped.
Fan?
I've not seen any of the Screams. I feel like I need to.
Oh, they're all so good.
The first
think-
one is fantastic. Second one
Yeah,
is
I think that's the only one I saw like way back, probably when it first came out.
I don't think there's a bad one in the franchise, but you know, the first one is
I think
by
that's a
far
reach.
a margin above the rest.
Yeah. I think it's the problem. I suppose the horror genre does this, whereas the first film sets the precedent of like how all of the other films will be. So it's always that twist of like, oh, who is it? And then like, so you're kind of watching the best for that. Best example was the Saw films. I remember watching the first Saw movie and being like, holy shit. And then like after that, you're just watching, waiting for the twist, and it kind of ruins it.
I love them all. Even if by the end it's just torture porn, I love them all.
Run, Paige, run.
1 to 3 are great.
Is anyone going to see The Flash? Go on, someone say The Flash.
The Flash. I love that trailer. It's like Spider-Man No Way Home of the DC universe.
That is exactly what I said.
Because it's going to reset it as well, James Gunn says. So obviously they're talking about how there's no metahumans in this new timeline, that in the Flashpoint timeline, because it's literally just the Flashpoint storyline. Because they've even got Supergirl instead of Superman, because in the Flashpoint universe, Superman, when he lands on Earth, gets taken and put in a lab and whatever, and he's super skinny, and obviously the Flash goes and saves him. But in this movie, it's Supergirl instead, and it all looks really good. And they've got Ben Affleck, they've got Michael Keaton, and then obviously it's going to reset the timeline, and then we're going to get virtually all new actors for everyone. I'm very excited.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's Batman is probably the thing that I'm most excited to see. Like, that's going to be just pure nostalgia, just seeing him. Well, I mean, it was when I saw him in the trailer in his old classic suit. So I think seeing him in action as well is going to be an absolute treat.
I think they're very much seeing how good Spider-Man No Way Home was and saying, all right, a bit of nostalgia kick. Yeah, that's a very easy money grabber.
Because, I mean, they've replaced Thomas Wayne, because obviously in the Flashpoint storyline, it's not Michael Keaton Batman, it's Thomas Wayne Batman, who uses, brute force. He's pretty gory with it. But obviously they've got Michael Keaton. But then in, like, the first promo images, they had, like, the cowl on the floor with the blood, so maybe they're going to use him in replacement of Thomas Wayne to do maybe a bit more gory scenes with Michael Keaton Batman. That'd be cool.
It'd have been good if they got Christian Bale. That'd have been a solid one.
He said he'd only return if Nolan was behind the wheel on that, and if the script was good. Unfortunately, I'd love to be able to see him don the cowl again, but from Bale, it's going to be a no-go unless Nolan's back.
Maybe he's just pulling an
Would you want to
Garfield.
ruin a good thing though?
Well, is Tobey Maguire's or Garfield's ruined because they're in No Way Home? I think you can sort of separate them, but
I've seen.
I understand why Bale would do that.
It's like with Maguire as well. I've seen like the rumors as well with Toby saying that he wants to come back and stuff. So they're really pushing for a Spider-Man 4 apparently.
I'd watch it twice at least.
Wasn't expecting Zod. Yeah, I mean, like what Harvey was saying, I think that really alludes to the whole different timeline sort of aspect. So that's just creating the new sort of universe that James Gunn is going to be heralding now. I'm quite excited to see that as well, because for a long time the DCEU just never got me excited at all. The only times that I've ever really did feel any excitement is if Henry Cavill was going to be donning the cape again, because it started with him. I feel like he would be like the key character to sort of resolve the whole thing around. But then he barely showed up, and then they brought him in, and then he got sacked again for nothing. So it's
he didn't get fired. He just didn't
not
get
fired.
rehired.
That was it. Yeah. Correct
Worst line ever. That we're not letting you go. We're just not bringing you back.
What are the trailers were there? I can't remember.
The Guardians trailer. It's got me all kinds of emotional. I'm not ready for it.
What was the bit that got you like feeling that way though, Nathan?
To be honest, I don't watch many trailers these days because I think it gives away too much of the film. I like to go into it with a fresh mindset, not knowing anything. So I've not seen anything Guardians related. But seeing Quill screaming in pain, like almost crying, someone's going in front of him there. I've got a feeling it's going to be Rocket or Drax, because they've been setting up these characters as fan favorites, and they're just going to kill them off in the final one. just to get us all upset. But it's going to be good. We've come to know these characters for like years and years now, and they were
How
sort of
long's
like
it
the
been?
first.
When was the first one?
Is it 2016?
I was going to say 14.
I don't know.
I thought, yeah, 15, 16 sounds about right. Hang on, let me have a look.
That's my favorite bit of the trailer was when Groot had like 20 arms and 20 guns. That was a very
14.
very good scene. 14. Nice.
14,
I'll take
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like Groot's looking very swole right now. He's I don't know, he's got like shoulder muscles and everything, and he's just like growing arms and like he's got a pistol for each of those arms as well. I think it was like what 0.3 seconds of the trailer. I think you saw Adam Warlock in a bit of action.
Yeah.
Like he was flying through something. I'm like, finally. Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Everyone was like, why are they casting the eyebrow guy as Adam Warlock? But he looks pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got massive on it.
Fucking ripped.
He was like that on the Jonathan Ross show months ago. Because Jonathan Ross, he's like a massive comic book fan, and he was like asking him all sorts of questions, like, "Oh, what is your skin going to be like, all golden as well, or like, are you going to be wearing this outfit?" But just while he was like sat there answering his questions, I was like, I remember because the last film I saw him in was in that comedy movie about
We're the Millers.
That's it, yeah, that one. That was the last thing I saw, and he was a scrawny kid, but now he's just this like massive, really built. And I'm there going transformation.
He was kind of like a Michael Cera type, and now he's completely transformed himself.
Yeah. I'm excited for that one.
Sarah. There's a flash from the past. Never see his name again, will you?
No.
Michael Cera.
The last thing I remember him being in was that was it like 10,000 BC or something with Jack Black?
Oh god, that was awful.
I haven't even seen it. It looked awful.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm watching that.
Yeah, and I watched the trailer. I agreed it was awful, and I still watched it, and I felt, yeah, it's definitely awful.
Validation.
Yeah, I had to see it through. I was like, no, I can't just judge it on the trailer. So I watched it. I'm now going, no, just trust your instincts next time. It's fine.
I will see as well on trailers, and we got another Mandalorian trailer today, and I watched it and I was like, are there any new bits there? Like they're so teasy, but I love it because to Nathan's point, I think MCU give too much away.
Yeah.
And I've said this before that Star Wars do a great job of showing you stuff that makes you go like, whoa, but it actually isn't anything when you get into the story and the episode. So yeah, starting to slowly look forward to that now.
And then the one that I'm most excited about is Indiana Jones. Like those films for me as a kid were just the shit, and now the sort of end of an era. And Harrison, like, obviously, I know he says it for media, but there's a bit of earnestness when he says, "Look, this is the end, and I want it for him. I wanted to see that character come to an end." I am very excited to see what they do with it. I sort of hope they'll do almost a bit like what they did in No Time to Die, where they pass the title down.
I think that's what they're heading towards. They're going to like pass it to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I think.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
I love Indiana Jones.
Harrison Ford doesn't normally get a stay. He was trying to get out of Star Wars for years, and he never did. So,
yeah,
I would cosplay Indiana Jones if I wasn't so pasty.
Oh yeah, because Indiana Jones is like dark, isn't he?
Well, I mean, he's pretty golden. You know, he's not like Casper the Friendly Ghost. You know,
or get a fake tan.
He's like episode 2 Anakin.
Please rock up with a spray tan.
Bright orange.
I did have a spray tan at one point. Just did my head though for the last day of school, and then I went on holiday the next day. So I was walking through the airport in shorts and a t-shirt with white ass skin and then a tanned head. I looked like a proper tit. I reminded me of Neil from The Inbetweeners. Actually, from the movie.
Nice.
I've just seen Max's comment in the chat. Guardians is mid.
Yeah, fuck off.
Like he's just saying that for a rise. I don't believe you feel that. I just don't believe you at all.
I think they're funny. I don't think they're the best story in the MCU, but
no,
they're good enough.
Guardians are better in the Avengers, like Infinity War. Their best moments are in that.
Oh, I thought like
I disagree.
on their own, they're good. I felt like they pushed the comedy element a little too much in the second one, and I felt like got that formula just right in the first one.
Well, this is why Dave Bautista wants to leave, isn't it? He feels like Drax has just become a bit of a comedy, jokey character. I'm not familiar with the source material, but a lot of those who are see that that's not Drax from like the comics.
I don't get people that say that, because I mean, yeah, obviously it's not Drax from the comics, because when you compare MCU Drax to comics Drax, Drax was like, I don't think he was OP, but he was intentionally designed and created for the sole purpose of killing Thanos. And I think he did at one point. I think he rammed his whole fist through his chest. So I think at one point he succeeded, but they've completely depowered him for this movie. And what a lot of people keep forgetting is like they've numbered their universes. I don't ask me what the MCU number is, but it does have a very specific, unique universe number. And they said, well, the MCU universe is this number, and that comic is this number. So, of course, when you switch from one universe to the other, you are going to see dramatic differences or even subtle differences. So when you look at someone like Drax and go, oh, yeah, that's not Drax. Well, of course it fucking isn't. It's not him. It's another version of him. So they've just made it dwell to the story. That's all that is. And it infuriates me when people compare them to the comics and go, well, that wasn't accurate. Well, of course it won't be. They're telling their own story in their own universe. That's the whole beauty of that. But I do agree to the extent that when they introduced Drax, he was this very serious character, and the funny thing about him was that he didn't understand like sarcasm or the funniness. He was like a very bricked Sheldon Cooper of the group, except without the intelligence. And now he's laughing, he's joyful, and he's making fun of Mantis because of how she looks. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a little lost with him now.
I think Guardians, a bit like what you said, Liam, they work best when the comedy's in short batches rather than when you try and get a 2-hour film of that style. It can there's times where I think Star-Lord's a bit overbearing in the Guardians films, where like it's always about him, and then times where other characters don't get, because there is such a big group of them, they don't all get that limelight. And yeah, I think my favorite thing of them is Infinity War. Obviously, the scene where it's like, why is Gamora, is probably one of the better scenes in Infinity War. But like in that sort of short doses, I can take them.
It still makes me laugh knowing that scene was completely improvised. I love that.
I didn't know that. That's good.
Why is Gamora? Brilliant. Yeah, because I think he said when I can't remember who said the last one. I think it was Doctor Strange. He says when Stephen Strange says his line, just pan the camera to me, and then that's when he said his line.
Right.
Nice. Speaking of Chris Pratt, did anyone watch the Super Mario trailer as well? It wasn't much of a trailer, it was more of a teaser, but
I've seen the original trailer, but no, I've not seen the tease.
They put a phone number up. I didn't try it. It's an American phone number, but I'm so undecided whether that film is going to be good or not, because like the Sonic film, that first iteration of Sonic was probably one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Like the way they did his animation, it was so ugly, like so ugly. And I don't think Mario looks ugly, but the idea of these characters becoming film characters, I just can't really get my head around. Like they're meant to be 2D on a screen of like a Sega Mega Drive or an N64 or something, not on your big blockbusters.
I still think it's like when you look at the graphics, I do feel like it's very, very Mario. It's not like they've made this darker, their own version of like, what a red and white mushroom would look like. It is very bright, it's very colorful from what we remember it in the games, and it flashes me back to the point of where I was playing on like the Nintendo 64 and stuff. So I think like visually it's stunning, and I think it's very faithful to those, but I was more or less looking for the voice actors. That's like my one key thing that I was looking for, and I think everyone has got it. And then I look at Pratt thinking, why didn't you try
a weird choice?
I didn't have an issue with the choice, because I think before the trailer came out, didn't he put out a tweet or something saying, oh yeah, it's going to be, you've never heard me like this before or something? He alluded to something like that. We're all thinking, oh, so Pratt's going to be doing an impression of what Mario used to sound like. And then he didn't. He just sounded the exact same. I was a little disappointed with that.
No. It doesn't do anything for me.
It's funny, right? Because I'm trying to think how old I was. I can remember the Bob Hoskins kind of one coming out.
Wow.
And I suppose Mario. All right, shut up. And I can remember it coming out, but I was a kid, like a little kid, and so I wouldn't have paid attention to it. But nobody's ever said anything about like Bob Hoskins being Mario and not being Italian and all of that. But it's a different age, it's a different time, and all that. I don't know. Like it's just, Judge. I'll probably. It's not something I'll rush out to see, but I'll watch it. I don't know.
I wholeheartedly agree with the Lecoid's comment. I think Chris Pratt is becoming on borderline annoying. I absolutely love Parks and Rec. It was fantastic in that, but after all of the Jurassic World and Guardians and now Mario,
So Star Wars next you watch.
Yeah. This has just reminded us, when I was in the Dominican, they had like the TVs in the room had like US TV, and there was this film on, and I've never seen it before, and I had no idea what it was. And like, I can't even remember the concept, but it was a bit like Clips, and then there was some kids who were like, had this like magic science TV, and then like different things were happening. Like so it was just like loads of skits, but in these skits, were like top class actors like Chris Pratt, and was it his ex-wife who was in all like the Scary Movie films, and I always forget her name, begins with an E, I think. But like they're in it together, and basically the whole premise of their skit is like she wants to take the relationship to the next level, and he's like, all right, okay, yeah, like what are you like? He's thinking like we're going to get married, and she's like, no, I want you to shit on us. And then it's like the whole skit is like the weekend of them building up to him shitting on her in a sexual means. It was just so random, but like all the other skits, that's the one that sticks. And I don't know what it was. So if anybody knows what it is, please tell it. It was like movie 73 or movie, like it was just so random. I'm gonna have to find it. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, there was like a whole bunch of other people, actors in there, like Hugh Jackman and all sorts, wasn't it?
Yes,
I know what you mean. It was something like movie something, movie number.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. 43, movie number 43.
Movie 43, yeah. That's it.
There we go.
Yes, that's it. It was just, and then there was like, then the guy out there like Jeepers Creepers, and then he's been in like Dodgeball and everything, like the scrawny lad.
Didn't that Stephen Merchant and Halle Berry was in it or something?
Yes, and then they get loads of plastic surgery and like yeah, it's so random.
I don't think I could.
Sounds like a fever dream.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've confirmed that this movie doesn't just exist in my head.
Maybe that's where it was born from, Harvey. It wouldn't surprise me.
I never finished that movie. It felt too random for me. Like I was there going, nah, I couldn't, because I think the Hugh Jackman having balls on his chin. I thought, the fuck am I watching? It's like, what has my fucking life come to that I'm just sat in on a Friday night watching Hugh Jackman talk about having balls on his chin? I'm good.
It was the perfect, like, do you know when you're on holiday and you've been to the pool all day or to the beach, and then you come back and you kind of like just chilling out before you start getting ready for the night. It was like that perfect. It was in that slot. It was perfect for it. So yeah. I'm glad I remember that, because I totally forgot about it. Now I want to watch it in full because I didn't watch it in full. Never mind. Anyway.
No, not for me. Would you say that film, here's a good segue, was overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
Well, I don't know what people rate it, so.
I didn't know it existed, so yeah, not rated at all.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, so yes, that's my segment now. So yes, we are here to talk about. So this is built on, like, obviously I wasn't around last week, but you guys got into talking about Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and against Rebels and stuff. And then our good friend Matt Mellish commented to the defense of the Clone Wars. And it's that thing that's forever thrown around: is the Clone Wars, like, is it overrated? Is it, like, people like are very polarized on it? So chat, if you haven't already, there is a poll in the comments, last chance to kind of vote, have your say. And if you haven't already, hit the little like button at the bottom, because that helps us and all that. And we're doing well when the bots come in and try and sell everybody spicy links. That's how you know the stream's doing well. But anyway, never mind. So I put I put a video out across a couple of channels to see what bites it got and what people. Now, interestingly, it started to get a bit of debate in the TikTok chat, which is like, oh, that's what you're all hoping for. But on a tier list, go around the doors, let's just see where we rate it before we then do like what people said and then what we think. But like, go Betty first. Where would you rate it, the Clone Wars?
I would struggle to put it higher than B tier, purely because there are some S tier things, but there are some like bottom of the garbage as well. And I can't give it, if I was giving it like an out of 10, I can't give it more than a 7, purely because I can't forget the crap and the shite for the good bits. My analogy was Prison Break. If anyone's seen Prison Break, season 1, phenomenal. Don't bother with the rest. But you can't forget that it's there. It is there, and you've got to say, well, the show was not as good because of that.
Yeah, agree. James?
Yeah, I'm more or less on the same line here with Betty. There are some absolute incredible scenes and arcs, and then you have just some absolute, I don't want to call them awful, because it's not, because I have to recognize that it was primarily made for kids. But yeah, you at times you really knew it was made for kids. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the droid arc, yeah,
even kids turned that episode off. Weird of the week, because this was weekly episodic release as well. I remember back on Sky Movies, it wasn't like a big download. Like, kids waited a week for that.
Yeah, it's I'd say it's exactly where it is. It's I would probably give it about the same score, maybe 7 if I was going to be generous, and 8. Yeah, I think it's where it is. It has some key pivotal moments that really give us insight into characters and events and really answer some questions. But at the same time, there's a lot of well, I'm not going to call it unnecessary, but there's just a lot of filler as well.
Yeah, agreed. Harvey?
I mean, I sort of said this last week, where same thing as Betty, really. There's a lot of S tier episodes, but then there's also a lot of D tier episodes. So it sort of evens itself out a bit, and especially in conjunction when you're comparing it to Rebels. As for a tier list, if we're saying like S tier, A tier, B tier, etc., I would probably put it on A tier. But then it's like, if you separate, if you ask me where would I just put the Siege of Mandalore arc or the Fives arc or the Umbara arc, S tier all the way.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one. And it also depends on how you watch it, because if you were watching it like as the Bad Batch was coming out, and I think that's why a lot of people have a problem with the Bad Batch, it's like, if you're watching one episode a week, then you're going to hate the show for the most part. But if you binge it all, and then you can get through the fluff in an afternoon, you'll love it.
Nathan?
I think that there's a lot of good and a little bit of bad. So as Ivy said, does sort of weigh itself out. That you can go from watching amazing episodes on Umbara, and then you have droids in a desert for episodes and episodes, and you're like, it's unbearable to watch. But then there's so much in the Clone Wars that makes Star Wars, and there's so much more than for the films that we've seen. There's a lot of pivotal stuff in there that you have to see. Yeah, I'd say probably 7.5 out of 10.
So I would agree. Like I would put it about, I'd probably be a bit more generous and say it's an 8 because of the importance of it. I think there is some stuff in that, particularly to Anakin. The love for Hayden today is actually probably more for the love of Anakin, which I think the Clone Wars gave him. I think it's really important from a lore perspective. When at its peak, it's brilliant. I think as you see, like some of the arcs are absolutely an S, and you like everybody wants to give it an S. And when we go off the comments, particularly on TikTok, the vast majority of people in there gave it an S. But as soon as you see looking around all you guys, when you gave your answers there, every one of you had like that half a second hesitation. In an S tier program, movie, whatever it is, there is no hesitation. And as soon as you then throw that but in, that takes it out of S tier. Like I know like true perfection has to be imperfect to quote Oasis, but it is just lacking a bit. So I personally probably rate it about B, like a high B. I don't quite think it's an A. What I think is really interesting though is that that rating is subjective, and I don't think it'll ever really be settled on because different people have different perspectives. And I think people who rated it an S now will probably watch it back in 10 years time and be like, oh, I like this shit. Like they'll just see it through different eyes. But is it the question? I mean, in the chat. So let's have a look at our poll: overrated, underrated, properly rated. Very few are seeing underrated with 15%, overrated 35%, and then properly rated 50%.
Yeah.
I suppose what we don't see is what those people, when those people see it's properly rated, what they think of it is rated. But I would see it.
I voted properly rated.
Yeah, same.
I think so. I voted overrated, but ever so slightly. But I would say it's there. I would say it's pretty much around it. If it is overrated, it's not massively overrated. It's that thing where at its best, it is some of, if not the best parts of Star Wars, but there are just parts that can weigh it down slightly.
The thing is, like when you look at the Clone Wars, even if you do look at the bad parts, and we can use the droid arc for an example of that, I am one of those people that do agree, yeah, that arc was just bad. But you can take certain little bits out of there and think, that was actually pretty good. And it was the whole Gregor thing at the end of that arc. Like Gregor's whole sacrifice from that one, like, was excellently well done. And then there was a small episode of where Ahsoka was like looking out for, she lost a lightsaber and she was overly panicking over it. And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, it does pan to something, but
I think as well, like we were saying last week, the contrast from Rebels to Clone Wars, I don't think it's as big as a jump as we were maybe saying. So like for me, I would put Rebels as A tier, mainly because there is that level of consistency across the board rather than the high peaks and troughs.
So here's the thing. Let's not get into Rebels because that's a whole other thing. But do we need to do a Star Wars tier list? Do we need to like break out the tier list and do it? Maybe we do it offline because we probably spend an hour just doing Star Wars tier list, and we could do it and then record it and edit it. And then let's do a Nerd Juice one where we have to get a consensus across the board and then go from there. So
we could have a whole episode just doing it live, really.
We could
like just arguing with each other on where to put the things, and we only make one tier list together. So it's us all just arguing about where everything goes. That could easily take the whole hour and a half.
Let's do it in a room at Celebration. Strip tier list. I challenge you all.
After the Fox as well, while we're all drunk as a skunk.
Even better, see if the Fox have got like a present, like a projector, and we can put the tier list on the wall and do the whole Fox to do the list.
You reckon we could get the Star Wars Sessions boys to let us use their venue?
They would. I think if we pitched this to Star Wars Sessions, they would definitely let us do it at the O2.
No, theirs isn't at the O2, is it? Theirs is in their own venue. The O2 one
yeah.
isn't their thing.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there we go. So the question remains unanswered on the most part, but I think we can pretty much see it's not underrated, although some people do, but the consensus is that it isn't, but it's somewhere between properly rated and slightly overrated. So we think, we'll see when we do our tier list, but we think it probably sits around that A-B level. I think that's fair. Do you? Over to you, Betty.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I'm going to hand it straight over to James because we're going to talk a little bit about the Bad Batch. The last 2 episodes were very redemptive, I'm going to say. But James, I will let you take the floor.
Yeah. So it's like with the Bad Batch from the title itself of the Clone Conspiracy just throws you immediately back to the whole Fives thing, and it did have a lot of that esque part to it, where something was going down. You know, who's behind? Well, we all know who's behind this, but how is it going to play out, and is anything going to come of this? And where we can see our surprise clone coming to sort of try and save the day, sort of thing. I think it's really connecting that boundary to this is the Clone Wars, like this is coming from here. And they've really solidified that connection with that. I think it's heading in the right direction, where it's finally giving us some details about really filling in the gaps of, well, how really did the stormtroopers come about? Yeah, sure, the clones were too expensive, but that can't have been the only reason, because you have to pass it through a Senate. And then that's exactly what they did, where they stitched up that imperial officer and just went, oh yeah, well, the clones, they just followed him blindly. Clearly there's a problem here. Tell you what, maybe this whole thing I've been talking about this whole time, maybe we should actually put that into practice. So it's just a masterful tactician at work behind the scenes, and then he just shows up to basically claim victory and go bye. But I love these 2 episodes. I thought they were excellently well done.
I'm very happy to see Ian McDiarmid as well. I don't think I could listen to the Emperor and not be Ian McDiarmid at this point, because it's just so good every time.
His voice is just completely iconic. It's like the whole echo in the Senate chamber as well, like how dominating his voice always is whenever he's telling you what's what. Thank you for helping, but really I'm a bastard. So I thought it was. Yeah, like I can't like praise it enough. I thought it was great, and I honestly thought we would see Cody again in this episode, but I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't Cody. It was our good friend Rex. So I'm very interested with what's going to happen with this one.
Yeah, there's still so much open for it as well. Very, very good time. I sort of feel like because we've had such a high with it, we're going to get an absolute shit out of a filler next week.
Yeah.
But what did you think about Echo leaving?
I know people absolutely love Echo. I don't. I'm not a massive like Echo fan. I don't really care. He's great, whatever. But I feel like they're setting him up to die, like in some way. I feel like
I haven't seen the episode.
Harvey, why are you here? He knew we were talking about this today.
Nathan, have you seen it?
Yeah, I feel like this season, the best episodes of the Bad Batch haven't really contained much of the Bad Batch.
It's like the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Crosshair and Cody episode, fantastic, and then these ones as well. Very good episodes, and they weren't really in it. So what are they playing at? Do they know what they're doing when they're making these shows? Or are they just setting up other spin-offs?
It's a possibility. I mean, go on then.
I was just going to say, we've kind of like, we've judged, and this is quite broadly said, the Bad Batch has been judged kind of a bit against the Clone Wars and a little bit against Rebels, and like we try to think we know what it is and all of that, but what do we want the Bad Batch to be going forward? What do we want it to like serve its purpose for as a vehicle of storytelling?
I want it to be more that like what the past couple of episodes have been, what I thought it was going to be originally, the whole transition of the clones to the stormtroopers, and moving on from that part of the Emperor's reign to the new one, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think that storyline is pretty much going that way as well. Like we've had some fillers, but with these latest 2 episodes, it set the stage to what Nathan has exactly said. We're seeing that transitional period from clones to stormtroopers. Now they've done the phase 1 act of it by confirming, yep, we don't want to use clones anymore in the first season, and now Palpatine has stitched this other guy up to make the clones look like they're too obedient, like they shouldn't be disobedient, especially if you have someone in higher power doing things they shouldn't be doing. So let's phase them out and let's get some people in that have a bit more of a mind of their own. So yeah, I think it's more just filling in the little bits of like, oh, how did that happen? I don't think it's going to be anything integral. It's just little lore facts, if anything.
Something I'd never considered until after these 2 episodes was in the original trilogy, and like even in like Rebels and everything we've seen in that Imperial age, like where are the clones? Because there are still, like they quoted in this one, there are still over 1 million clones, because they talk about having to pay the pensions of them, and like nobody talks about them. They're again a bit like the Jedi, like a relic of the Republic. So then when they said that, I was like, well, yeah, we need a way of wiping them out. And then I started thinking because the vast majority of clones still have their chip. So is there another order in there that basically makes them walk themselves off a cliff or something? And then those who remain are those who've had their chips removed, like Rex, like the Bad Batch, who are very much in the minority.
I think it sort of needs to stick to that clone side of it as well, because you've got Andor, which is building the rebellion. I don't think you want to cross them over. I think because they are clones, you keep down that question of what happened to the clones after Order 66, and once that's answered, that's where you've got to leave it. They could cameo in something after that as like a bounty hunter, but I think you answer that question and that's your series.
Well, I hope they do nothing more with Sid, because the episode's doing my head in.
Yeah, I did see that when Wrecker had said, I'm sick of sitting around here waiting for Sid. I wish they'd just said, I'm sick of working for Sid. Let's suck her off.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the writers saying that I'm just kind of sick of where that direction was going. And they've just got Rex to say, we're hearing you. It's annoying. So here's the next phase of what we're going to do with the story. So it could be a pretty good way of getting them out of that.
We know this week, right, is going to be them back in Sid's cantina and doing a mission to like a spider-infested world or something.
Yeah.
We don't
know that
need
happens, by the way. No.
I did in the because this felt like it was alluding back to one of the early rumors about Omega possibly being force sensitive. Like I did have to have a little second think about when she started to meditate and she was saying, "Oh, this is what Gunji taught me."
Yeah.
And this is and I was there thinking, if she meditates enough, is she gonna realize what's in her? And I thought, I think it's too far gone now to be able to bring that old rumor back in, but it did sort of make me think, well, Luke went for 19 years without ever really knowing he had that, and neither did Leia. So if she meditates enough, could she discover something?
And it with it then starts to play into the Palpatine sequel, like cloning with force capabilities and all that. Like she almost becomes the key to all of that. So yeah, but it would be, Max, you're right. It would. Yeah.
Well, there were some lovely thoughts on the Bad Batch. Liam, you let us know just before we start, and you have a little bit of a rant. You're taking over what I have somehow been given the title of said ranter. I'm going to let you take the stage this time.
I have
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. I'll keep it snappy as well, Betty. I'll show you how a rant is done. So, quick poll. Who here watches Family Guy on ITV2 on a night?
Not for a long time, but
I did when I was like 9.
All right, fuck you. Like, so Harvey, you might be the only one then here who can empathize with this, and I hope that you pick up on it. So Family Guy typically drops like 2 episodes a night, and you watch it through. Thoughts on the iPhone mics? What's he on about? Oh no, it's not.
My rant.
Oh, yeah. So do you know? And Max, do you watch? You might. I wish you were on at this point now, but you watch Family Guy as well, right? Like, I feel like you do. I'm sure we've had this conversation. Like, it's a good like chewing gum for the brain. Like, just before you go to bed, watch it, and then switches the brain off and off you go. But when you watch it on ITV2, they do the whole thing as they do with everything. Like, this episode or this is sponsored by, and at the minute it's sponsored by a company called ID Mobile, who I don't know who they are. The part of someone, and they do like these little skits where it's like a family talking to each other. It's like the daughter speaks to the mom, and it's all through like FaceTime and all that. And they do like stupid jokes, but they've only got. It's so bad. They're so refined of jokes. They actually do it where the mum tells the same joke as the dad tells to the daughter. Like, she tells it, and it's like they're awful. Like, oh, mum or mum, what have you getting dad for his birthday? I've bought him a fridge. I can't wait to see his face light up when he opens it. And then like, but they just show, they've got like 4 of these, and they just show the same ones over and over and over again. But they're so obnoxious as well. Like, the dad particularly is so obnoxious. Like, there's one where he says, I know, the worst thing is I know them off by heart now because I've seen them that many times, and they just keep playing them. And it's like, they do one where he's like, oh, I got an official warning today at the bank. And it's like, oh no, what happened? And he's like, a woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her over, and then does like this really obnoxious laugh down the thing. It does me fucking head in. Harvey, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm usually on my phone during the adverts anyway, but yeah, I do rate the balance one though. I kind of like that one.
No.
I mean, I wish I knew what you were talking about. I've never seen them. I mean, I don't even have a TV.
It offended him so much he had to turn his camera off.
No, I've never even seen them.
It's so bad, it's good.
I do respect the old double header. When Max said double Family Guy and then American Dad, I knew when I hit American Dad, I should probably go to sleep now. Yeah. It's like 11:30.
I wouldn't mind it if they refreshed the adverts. No, like after a couple of weeks, they were like, oh, let's introduce some new jokes. But they haven't. They just give the mum the same jokes as the dad. It does my fucking head in. Honestly. And don't even get me started on ITV showing Family Guy through the week, and then on a weekend shows you all of the episodes on a weekend that they've played through the week. So you sit down and you're like, yeah, that's another rant for another day.
I feel so out of touch. I occasionally watch The Simpsons on Disney Plus, but there's no adverts on there, so I'm chilling.
Yeah.
So, Film Club, the newest segment on the NERDJUCE podcast.
We need some Seggy videos, don't we?
We need some music, yeah, like a news.
Yeah, we need some stuff with that.
Good evening, pedophiles. So this. Okay, there we go. Lovely.
It's a bit sexual, but we'll allow it.
So, what better film? I mean, there's a lot of raw sexual energy in this film anyway. What better thing to start off with? What better film to start off the film club with, other than everyone's favourite film, Revenge of the Sith?
Oh, I thought you were going to say The Rise of Skywalker.
I went to see Jar Jar Binks, so I'm happy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Or shall we do Empire Strikes Back because it's Valentine's Day?
Yes.
I mean, I'm always up for Empire. Or we could do Rogue One. There's a bit of love in that at the end.
Why don't we let the viewers decide?
Quick, whip up a poll. Empire,
We
Rogue
could do.
One, or
I
Revenge of
got
the
arrested
Sith?
the last time I did that, Harvey. So that'll be a joke on ID Mobile, I'm telling you. I got
should
arrested
sign them.
today. Why? I whipped up a poll.
Right. All right,
I've
so we've
whipped
got
out a poll.
2 votes
Word.
in, 1 for Revenge of the Sith, 1 for Empire. Someone's throwing up Attack of the Clones. I mean, to be fair, Attack of the Clones is more on the romantic side. It's got bad dialogue, but it's setting up, you know, that.
True.
Try telling the Tusken Raiders that.
It turned into a rom-com just like that. All right, so we've got 2 for Revenge of the Sith,
Revenge of the
3
Sith.
for Revenge of the Sith. I'm feeling that that's going to be it.
Revenge of the Sith it is.
I mean, I'll watch Empire Strikes Back as well anyway, why not?
Yeah.
I didn't say,
It's
probably
not exactly a hard task. You're asking us to watch a film that we would probably watch.
That we've watched 7 million times already, yeah.
Revenge of the Sith, yeah. Got
Revenge of the
another one
Sith
in
it
there.
is.
Yeah,
I think
we'll
I'd
just
guess
settle
that's-
on that then.
There we go. That's what we do.
I mean, I'm just going to watch my 3 top anyway, so that'll be me.
Perfect.
What, you're going to have 3 on top? Whey.
So Q to what I would say is Q to the viewers is if you want to join us in Film Club, you watch it too, and we can break the film down and discuss it, and then you feel part of it because it's everybody sees different things and all that. So yeah, we were just to put it out there as well. We were talking beforehand. We were going to do Ant-Man, but we just thought it might be a bit too soon, given that it comes out on Friday. So we're giving you a week, and then the week after we're going to do Ant-Man. So we're giving you like 10 days to see it. I think that's fair enough.
Hell yes.
Agree.
Well
So
then,
yeah,
lads.
Revenge of the
This
Sith it
is
is.
Revenge of the Sith for Film Club. Let us know so if you haven't already, we've got a Discord. This is I'm such a good influencer. I'm going to plug the Discord right now. You can tell us your thoughts. You can tell us your thoughts about Revenge of the Sith in the Discord. You can tell us when you've watched it. We'll let you know when we've watched it. And yeah, welcome to Film Club, everybody. That was very cringy.
We haven't put the Discord in the beacons yet. So keep them talking, Ben. Keep them talking. Give us like 2 minutes.
Revenge of the Sith. It's the 3rd Star Wars prequel.
Hold up.
Is
I've
it
got
the
something.
third one? Is it the 3rd or is it the 6th?
Yeah, it's got the number 3 in the title.
Yeah, it's the 4th in the chronological order, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, you got episode 1, episode 2, Clone Wars, the movie, and then 3.
But when I look at the DVD case and it's got a big 3 on it,
Oh no, I agree with you. Yeah, but then you can have that argument about the Assassin's Creed franchise. They did Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and then the whole Ezio stuff, and then there was a 3, and I'm there going, but it's actually Assassin's Creed 5 or whatever. So yeah,
we did. But I think it's probably the easiest film we could ever start a film club with for a bunch of nerds. Just watch a Star Wars film.
To be fair, we could get away with not even watching it. Like, if none of us watched it, we wouldn't be able to tell.
We've all seen it so many times already.
Has Harvey ducking out on his homework already before it even started?
Oh, no. Any excuse.
I think that's what he's going to be spending his Valentine's doing. Just watching.
Absolutely.
Are we dressed up for it as well?
Yeah, I've even packed in my little bag here my Star Wars pajamas and my Star Wars underwear. I'm all ready to go.
When you coming over?
He is a dungeon master after all. Did we stall enough, Liam? Did we do it?
If you need some more time, right, in the comments, picture with you and McGregor. Do I get it on the Saturday or the Sunday? Saturday I'll be Anakin. Sunday I'll be Battle Damaged Vader. Saturday it's Anakin and Obi-Wan. Sunday I can be Battle Damaged Vader and Obi-Wan. I don't know. Saturday or Sunday? You and McGregor picture as Anakin or Battle Damaged Vader. What are we saying?
Anakin. I think.
Do you say Anakin then, Betty?
Yes.
I think, I have to think about it. I think Anakin works probably a bit better with that.
I think your Anakin is like very top tier, whereas your battle damage Vader is unproven.
True. Yeah.
I genuinely thought Betty was going to be like, but your battle damage Vader was shit.
Yeah, so did I. My heart was going then. I was about to thank him for the first compliment, and then he said, but, and I was like, oh no.
hit you with a backhander. No, well,
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it. I've seen I've seen the helmet that you've got that you're smashing up, but I haven't actually seen the.
Yeah, you've not started like doing that yet, though.
No, all I've done so far is the capes and the cod piece. I need to get a metal grinder out for the rest of it. So.
I'm actually scared for you for like when you start doing the helmet.
I burnt myself twice on my hand doing burning the cape. So the metal grinder, if I lose a hand, then I suppose it makes my Anakin cosplay a bit more screen accurate. So I won't be too fussed. But
taking cosplay to the extreme.
All for the
make it for a good vlog.
It will. I do enjoy watching your Instagram stories, Harvey. And that's a note to everybody. If you're not already following Harvey or any of us, all of our links are down below.
Perfect.
There you go.
Such good influencers.
I know. Do we
also thank you everyone who put their answers in the comments to that question?
Yeah, thank you for your engagement, mate. It's been fun. What's the lineup next week? Because you two are bailing on us, aren't you?
I'm not here. I'm actually doing my Valentine's Day plans that weekend because I can't do them tomorrow. So I guess final question since Valentine's. Does anyone have plans for Valentine's? I'm watching Ant-Man. That's my love story.
Going to the gym.
What, alone or
gym? No. I'm watching it with my date. We are watching it together. She's real. She is real. She's not a toy.
So toys don't count.
Not always.
Oh, damn.
I mean, I'm working, so plus I don't have that intimate relationship with women,
Don't fret.
so.
I don't ever want to see you, and I never want to miss you again.
Stevie's got it. Stevie he knows what he wants.
Yes, Stevie. Oh, yeah.
Working.
Does she know yet, Stevie? Sorry, does he know?
Oh, my God.
Oh Lord.
Nathan, are you married long enough now that the romance is dead?
I wouldn't go that far, but we've got nothing planned. I wouldn't take it to that extent.
Well, it's better than getting something unplanned.
We just got cards and stuff, nothing major.
Oh, bless.
Being boring.
Go on,
So
Liam.
lads, let's go on in. Oh yeah, we don't ask you. What are you doing?
I said I'm going to the gym.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, so
All about the
traditionally, I'd never really been a Valentine's person, but you feel social convention pressures us into doing these things. But early in my wife and I's relationship, what we would do is we'd kind of almost buy or we'd fund like a weekend away, but we'd do it at the end of the month, but like gift it on Valentine's Day, because obviously it's a lot cheaper and you could get more for your money. So the last weekend in February, 2 weeks time, we're off to a cabin in the woods with a hot tub and all that. So yeah, make OnlyFans content.
Drop the link, man.
Friends and family discount.
Yeah.
Max has a solo with 5 guys, and then Amy turns up. So does that mean there's 6, 7 people?
Have a solo 5 guys, and Amy turned up. That reminds me of that interview about the woman saying that, I'd have if you could have a teleporter that could go anywhere, where would you?
Yeah.
Mine would be to a 5 guys, and they're like, excuse me, what?
Was that Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling?
No. That was, I think that was Carla.
I know what interview you're on about. Carl, was it Carl?
Yeah, it was Carla.
And Ryan, was it Ryan?
No, they were interviewed.
No.
It was for the Star Trek.
I can't remember.
It was him out of the.
Yeah, Star Trek, yeah.
All of your heads went to a totally different place. All I could think of is Max in the cinema alone, feet up, munching on a Five Guys that he smuggled in, which I thought was absolute bliss.
Does sound pretty good. Yeah,
Carl
Carl
Urban.
an Asian dude. I think I don't want to say his last name in case it's wrong because it sounds very
Do it.
Oriental. And no,
Do
no, no, do it.
Do
No.
it.
Just say it.
Did it end in Cho something? But I'm going to
Wow.
be. But
It's
I,
the racist
thank you.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cancel me. Yeah, go for it. Like fucking dare you. But what is his name? It better be Cho.
Up on Gangnam Style. Do 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 do.
Where the fuck is
And
this
don't
movie?
worry, James. Harvey's just outdone it, so you're fine.
Star Trek. Please. Cho. Yes, John Cho. Fucking not racist.
Wow,
Ha.
what such an Oriental last name? God, it's so hard to pronounce. I'm surprised you managed
No,
to get
but,
that one
like,
out.
It's one of those names where it's like, okay, but like I didn't want to say it in case I was wrong because it's like, oh, you only said that because he's Asian, you know.
They
so,
all
like,
sound the
thank
same,
God.
you know.
So thank God
I,
he does have that name.
I'm going to wrap up this podcast before.
Either way,
this goes any
just before you
further.
do, Betty, one thing that's really funny on the internet that I love is when Asian people do impressions of Americans or
Yeah.
like Westerners. I think that's
Oh
hilarious.
yeah.
I'll use my credit card. Brilliant. Oh, not so
Well.
on that again as well. Just very quickly, anybody a South Park fan?
Yes.
No.
Not massively.
Have you seen the? I haven't seen the episode, but I've seen it briefed where Tolkien is not called Tolkien. He was always
No.
called Tolkien.
Tolkien.
And the whole thing has been a troll, and only Stan ever thought he was called Tolkien, to the extent that the makers, like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, have gone all the way through the back catalogue, changed all of the subtitles, any references of Tolkien to Tolkien, to make us feel like basically we are Stan, our perspective is that, and like Stan is seen as a racist in it. It's
Yeah.
why I love South Park, but that's a conversation for another day. Go and watch that episode. Peace out.
Yes, thank you. Well, that's a love episode over. I'm sure we're all feeling very loved up after that. Nathan's going to go back to his dungeon after this. I can just see it in his eyes. Thank you all for tuning in.
I'll see you there.
Max is back next week. I'm not around
Max is
next week.
hosting
James,
next week.
Max is hosting next week.
He doesn't
Does he
know.
know?
He just found out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good hour and a half, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you join the Discord. The link is there, and we'll see you all later.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Have a beautiful time. That's an American dad thing.